Hey guys, Real Nerdy Teacher, and today we're talking about the top 5 inspirational teaching films for anybody to watch if they're planning on getting into teaching. So today we're going to be talking about the pros, the lows, and why I think they're ranked where they are. So let's get looking at them. Top 5. Let's go. Number 5, Dead Poets Society. This is one of Robin Williams' finest films in my opinion. I enjoy the supporting cast, but I feel like the pacing is off somewhat. I always remember the iconic scenes like Captain My Captain, and my personal favorite where he's talking to the students about why studying poetry is so needed for society, and it's a study of the passion of the people. Poetry is a passion. So I think this is a truly inspiring film. One, because of Robin Williams' performance, but the second part is showing both to students and to the film watchers like why passion is so important and why you should always look for that rather than something else. Alright, number 4. You're going to laugh at this, but I think it's Kindergarten Cop. I think this is a great film to show how a teacher can grow and the students can really love that teacher. Right? It's sometimes kind of hard to understand Arnold and his accent, but he plays the role really well. My favorite scene is when he just has to take this girl out, gets this other teacher to take her to the restroom because he's a kindergarten teacher. Then he comes back and he just notices that his room's in chaos. We all have seen this as teachers, and if you're going to be a teacher, you're going to have times like this. And the scene just pans around Arnold, and he sees everything that's going on. It's just overwhelming, and then he gets bumped, and then he just kind of loses it for a second and calms him back down. So at some point, I feel as teachers, we're going to have points where it's just utter chaos in our room, but we have to learn a way to bring everyone back to focus. So this is probably the best example of being able to go from a teacher who has no classroom control to a teacher that has a very regimented classroom control. So I think all of us can learn something from Arnold in this film. Number 3, Coach Carter. I think all coaches and teachers should use this as a refocusing tool. One of the best lines of the film is that the student athletes are students first. They can use their talents in whatever field that they choose, but they have to learn the material. The film shows a dynamic, vast cast between those who have things and those who don't, and realizing what roles each have to play. The student growth, overcoming obstacles, and then moving forward. It also shows that depending on where you teach, you may, or a coach, you may not have the backing of the community, depending on what you do to show the community that they are students first and athletes second. This film is overall pretty good. Samuel L. Jackson's a phenomenal actor in this. The supporting cast is really well put together as well. However, it does tend to stereotype some of what goes on in the inner city, and I feel like we, as a society, if we keep showing stereotypes of these situations, that it's not going to get any better. But depending on where you live, you may face some similar issues, just not the stereotypes that are depicted. This shows character growth. It shows how the coach is able to get across to his students and his players, and what it really means to be a student athlete. Number 2, Remember the Titans. This is my number 2 because it shows hopefully where we have come from in dealing with racism and segregation. I understand that desegregation of schools has been around since about May 17, 1954. However, that doesn't mean that the two sides, people that were put down and people that thought they were almighty and high, that those opinions have died and gone away. Depending on where you live, you might actually still see racism alive and well today, with a varying degree of support. I use this film to remind myself where we have come from, and hopefully where we can go and become more of a homogeneous group dealing with the aspects of different race. I like this picture because it shows how the two groups are having to deal with the same societal problem because of their community and their learned perceived notions, and having to overcome that and still be a football team. This has a multiple layer of storylines and character growth, and it allows these young football players to work together and achieve greatness. It kind of sugarcoats some of the pieces of life of what was going on during this period of time, but I think all the actors are good in this film, but the story that it's trying to depict, it's a much better story, and it has multiple storylines that you can use to discuss racism, segregation, the pros and cons of both of those aspects, and even up to homosexual rights that is being talked about in this, or just the day-to-day lifestyle of each side. I use this film to remind myself to think about my students' background, not their race, but their background, and how to use that as a stepping stone for success or drive for success, rather than a weight to pull them back down and to keep them down. Alright, and my number one is Mr. Han Opus. I feel this is the best motivational film for any teacher. The reason why is that it shows the full career of the teacher from beginning to end, and how he has changed himself, and how his students have changed himself, and how he has changed his students, and how he has to deal with different life issues. I like that it shows that not everyone gets into teaching because it's their passion. He wants to be a composer and gets into teaching because he's got a family that he has to take care of. You meet several of his students, and as he progresses, he learns how to be a great teacher. He uses his students that he's met and know and becomes to know later to teach other students that he's having to deal with. For example, one of my favorite scenes is a very sad scene, is where he takes a current student to a funeral of a former student. He's been talking to this current student about honor and integrity and drive, and the student is like, why are we here? He's like, this student didn't have a passion and learned that his passion was to help others, and has now given the ultimate sacrifice to his country, and now he's being honored by his family and the military with this funeral. And so that student kind of goes into and self-reflects on why honor and respect and drive are so necessary. It also does a very good job about not just showing the teaching part of life, but life as a teacher outside of teaching. It depicts some of his personal problems, about whether or not he still wants to be a teacher as a career, his marital problems, his problems trying to raise a son who's got some disabilities. This film will make you cry. However, I think it's one of the most inspirational films because it does show the evolution of the teacher from beginning to end. I tend to watch this film at least once a year, either at the end or the beginning. But if I've had a really rough week or a really rough time, I watch it because I want to be like Mr. Han Opus. I want to be that teacher that uses past students in order to inspire his current students. And I hope and encourage that all of you out there use this film to also think about the whole lifespan of a teacher and how many people we can touch. So let's hit the recap, and let's talk about it. Thank you for watching this video and taking the time out of your day to watch it. If you have a film that has inspired you to either teach or follow your dreams, please let me know down in the comments section. Please, if you like this video, share it with others, and if you like the content, please subscribe. I plan on putting up a video every week on Saturday. If you really like the content, come follow me on Facebook at RealNerdTeach84 and on Instagram at RealNerdyTeach84. And again, thank you for watching and have a wonderful day.